A team of teenagers with attitude, color-coordinated spandex, high-octane action, and a kick-ass theme song, and an intense storyline. Put it all together, and you get Power Rangers, one of the most recognizable 90s icon and still runs to this very day. From Might Morphin Power Rangers to today's season, Dino Fury. We had some amazing seasons, we had some okay ones, and some downright bad ones. But it gives everyone something in the fandom to enjoy, and there's at least one season someone is going to like, even if that means picking the bad ones. That's okay though, we can't all be right. But there is one thing that the fandom does not talk about. They're video games. And Lord British Z, the video games we got. I mean, like, they're just flooding the market. We even have a new one today, and people seem to enjoy that. We're not going to be taking a look at that one, and instead, we're going to be taking a look at all the past console games. So let's start things off nice and light with the beginning. The first. The Power Rangers season that would set everything in stone until this point. Oh yeah, I'm going there, everybody. It's time to play some Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger on the Nintendo Family Computer System, also known as Nintendo Famicom. Yeah, it's Japanese. Alright, I can probably hear some of y'all's keyboards getting ready to tell me that this isn't Power Ranger and it's some knockoff or something, and to that I say WRONG! Power Rangers is actually from a Japanese show called Super Sentai, where stock footage from the Sentai along with original American footage to make Power Rangers, using the same props as well as following similar storylines from the Sentai. In fact, Sentai started all the way back in 1975 with Himitsu Sentai Go Ranger, and Zyuranger was the 16th season coming out in 1992. First thing that makes this kind of cool is it has a great 8-bit rendition of the Zyuranger theme song. Zyuranger, Zyuranger, I don't know how the rest of the lyrics go. Gameplay wise, there isn't really much to talk about here. All you do is go from the left to the right, shoot any enemies you see, and collect these power coins to charge up your Zord. Halfway through, you get the Ranger's special weapon, but the first weapon is inconsistent. Strong, yes, but how it hits is awkward and doesn't play well with the enemy's positions. It would be fine if you could choose which direction you could attack, but it attacks both sides, and the first swing always misses the target, so you're susceptible to taking damage. On top of that, why do I always have to go through the door to change my weapons? Why can't I just push a button to switch between them? Why do I not have both daggers hit the same target? Why do I start as Tiger Ranger? Also, if you have an enemy that shoots at you while you have this weapon, you can't dodge projectiles because you're right on their ass. And this is why we should have the option to switch weapons. And the level design is counterintuitive, with spikes everywhere, falling platforms, moving platforms, tight jumps, and enemies on high ledges. It's just a mess. Once you reach the end of the stage, you get the boss battle, and not only do you have to deal with the main villains to fight, you also have to deal with moving enemies that hurt you when you touch them, and they also shoot. All while the boss you have to hit is just teleporting like crazy. After you beat him though, you still aren't done, because the game throws you a curveball and gets into a Megazord battle that's literally just you and the Dragozord playing Pong. Yeah, Pong. They literally make you play Pong with the Dragozord. What the fuck? I don't recommend playing this game too much other than having it for the novelty, but the game is as much as a new game, plus shipping and possible import tax since you have to get it from Japan, so it's just not worth buying at all. Alright. I promise this is the only Sentai game that we are playing for today's video. I know what you're really here for, Power Rangers. So now let's get to the actual original show, Might Morphin Power Rangers on the Super Nintendo instead. This game is set during the first season of the show before Tommy arrived, and is quite simple. A side-scrolling beat-em-up with different moves to perform, high-action fighting, and some kick-ass music in the background. It gets monotonous at times, but for 1993 this is great for its time, and it's quite fun. The difficulty is quite perfect too. It isn't that hard to play, but it likes it rough in bed. You could definitely beat this game within an hour or two, and the enemies are varied with different ways to attack, and some have to take more hits than others. Plus you are penalized for only using one move since more and more enemies spawn before you can move on, and you want to do combos to deal with them fast, plus the boss fights having some challenging moves to dodge and counterattack. You can pick any of the characters you want, and all have their own set of moves, which gives the game replay value. You start unmorphed, and then halfway through, you will morph into your ranger suit, which gives you stronger attacks using the ranger's special weapon and a special move that wipes every enemy on screen, but only has one use and has to be recharged. Honestly, I can recommend fishing out a copy here. This is actually a really good game we have here. To be honest, when I was telling my friends that I was going to do this video, they said, good luck buddy, you're going to have a bad time. But after playing this, I have some hopes. Let's see if any of the other games might be good for the Super Nintendo. This is another beat-em-up style game, except the difficulty is turned way up, so you're going to have a bad time playing this. Also, you have less moves to perform, so it's merely just a downgrade, even to the special move. It has to charge by picking up lightning bolts, and only fill up your power bar a little bit, and the special move is nothing more than just a range attack. Also, there's a weird transition of moving up and down on the second and first plane, only because there's enemies up there, and cars will come and hit you if you don't move out of the way. Just overall a worse game. Don't recommend picking this one up either, all considering that it costs literally more than a new game on the PS5. All I have to say is save your money and use it to buy the last game instead. But I'm not done yet. I'm going to push the Super Nintendo games and the Genesis games off to the side for a moment, and then we're going to just throw it in the fire. How about that? And we're going to look at the generation that probably me and most of you probably grew up in, the early 2000s. So, let's start off with the PlayStation 1 games, and start with Lightspeed Rescue. When you boot up the disc, we get an FMV sequence of the show with the theme song. A little bit of added lyrics to go along with it as well. And don't worry, this is not the only FMV we see, cause there is one for every stage, and they played the instrumental theme song. The FMVs aren't a drag either, cause they're only 10 seconds each. After each FMV, we get a call from Captain Mitchell and Miss Fairweather. And since she looks like that, Joe probably won't have any interest in her, which is good because he's too focused about being a simp to a higher-up rather than being on the planet that he calls home. Now, I don't think the voice actors are the same actors from the show. These are probably impressions. But color me impressed, these are pretty close. Mostly Carter and Captain Mitchell sounding almost exact. Every stage, we get dropped off by Joe's Aero Rescue Zord, and then he takes off to get into Fairweather's pants.
We gotta do something.
Yes, you should do something. The Rangers left you to deal with this cold-blooded bimbo by yourself, and one of your teammates is sexually assaulting your commander. The gameplay is self-explanatory. It's a 3D linear beat-em-up where you have to find civilians and save them. And by saving them, you just touch them and then they get vaporized like Thanos snapped his fingers. You also have basic attacks such as a punch, kick, and a special move that charges by collecting gems. What is this? Crash Bandicoot. Also, you can block as well as dodging to the left and right. And you can also do a backward jump by blocking and then flicking the right stick back and letting go of the block button at the same time. You can pick any character that you want, but they all basically play identical, so why not play as Carter the Red Ranger? It's an okay game, but nothing I'd write home about. It's pretty boring, to be honest with you. Power Rangers Time Force is the same story. Limited lives and continues, basic attacks, blocking, and dodging. Just a reskin of Lightspeed Rescue. Except you have a level select, and I do definitely think Time Force is the better game. There is another game I'm missing. It's on this generation. But what game? Oh, no! Now, I want to be perfectly clear here. The Nintendo 64 isn't capable of FMV unless it's butchered. Kind of like Resident Evil 2. And this is a kids game, so of course, this game is not going to be a port of the PS1 game, and it's going to be its own game entirely. All you get for cutscenes is the Lightspeed Rescue theme song, and still cartoon images with text and bold text on random letters to emulate emphasis in a poor manner. But this is only the cherry on the mountain tall shit cake because this is one of the easiest games in this video by far. Basic attacks, no blocking, just mash buttons and you will win. Missions only take a few minutes and most of the time only take a few seconds. And missions also repeat themselves. None of the Rangers call their teammates by their names. This is just abysmal. Downright a cash grab. Like most games we looked at, the only good game I found so far was the one on the Super Nintendo that isn't based on the Power Rangers movie. And honestly, for how much action a show like Power Rangers has, I'm surprised that amount of action is not reflected in the games at all. How come whenever we get a good season of Power Rangers, we get a shitty game of it, but then when we get a Power Ranger season that is iconic, yes, but not a lot of people feel that nostalgic for it when they rewatch it, but we get an awesome game for it. What the hell's going on? Maybe we should just stick to watching the show and not play the games, except for that one for the Super Nintendo. Highly recommended you get that game. I would still stick with watching the show. And to be honest, I'm really liking Dino Fury. And my dog is barking upstairs, so sorry about that. Ignore her. She barks at everything, so ignore it. If you like this video, that means you stuck until the end and you liked what I do. Make sure you click that like button so you can help me out get through the YouTube algorithm, so small channels like me and other smaller YouTubers get through the YouTube algorithm and grow our channels. Also, subscribe so you want to see more, and click the bell icon so you get notified when I upload. And as always, I'll holler at y'all later. Thanks for watching.